Hello, and welcome to Pharmacist Answers. I'm Cynthia, and I will be your host. You're listening to my Periscope broadcast turned podcast. Hope you enjoy. I've done 2 weeks worth talking about all the things that our liver does for us. So this is number 6 of 6 about the processes that our liver do. We've talked about how it helps with the digestion of your food, the metabolism of the food that you eat, and the energy sources you eat, the storage of the vitamins and nutrients that you eat, how it helps detox you from things that you eat or consume after they've been used. Yesterday I talked about what your liver actually produces for you, which has nothing to do with actually what you eat, but actually like how your blood clots. And now today, the last one, we're going to talk about how your liver keeps you healthy by supporting your immune system. This is the last day for my drawing of our lobule. This is the liver lobule. Your liver is made of hundreds of thousands of these little guys, and your liver cells, which are called hepatocytes, form this pinwheel around a vein, and then at each little corner of the hexagon, there's an artery, a vein, and a bile duct, and the bile goes to your gallbladder. That's for digestion, and then obviously the arteries and veins carry your blood. So the little space that we haven't talked about until today are these spaces in between the hepatocytes, which are called sinusoids. Which basically just means space. You have sinuses in your face and throughout your skull where your air passages, and it helps regulate the pressure in your head. The sinuses, it's just space. And so these sinusoids are lined with a particular type of cell. They're called Kupffer cells. And that sounds kind of silly. It's named after the guy that discovered them. But if you say cup, like a cup, Kupffer cell, that's how you say it. Kupffer cell. But it starts with a K and it has a P and a F and some weird things that you think should have some vowels in between. But they're called Kupffer cells, and they are part of your immune system. Your immune system flows through a different vein cycle or vessel cycle in your body called the lymph system, and they parallel your blood vessels, but it carries all the cells of your immune system, like your white blood cells and things like that. Part of your immune system, some of the cells are called macrophages, which means big eater. And so they're cells that, like, they're big glob cells, and they are like Pac-Man, and they find something that's not supposed to be there and they engulf it and swallow it and then make it safe, or just get rid of it and dissolve it into its basic parts, so it can't harm you anymore. So most of those macrophages are flowing through your lymph system and your lymph nodes and your spleen, and doing their job. And if they're needed in the bloodstream, then they'll transfer over, do their job, and then go back home. But in your liver, in these sinusoids, the macrophages, they kind of just hang out there. They're stationed there on purpose, and they don't really circulate. So as all of this stuff that your blood carries comes to your liver, if there's bad things that could lead to infection or larger things that could lead to toxicity, these macrophages will eat them. So if you have had an infection and the bacteria are starting to die, where do the bacteria go? Well, they end up floating around, and these Kupffer cells will actually gobble them up and get rid of them. So all of the things that cause infection, like bacteria, fungus, parasites, those kinds of things that can make you sick, when they reach these Kupffer cells, they'll gobble them up, break them up, dissolve them, and then they're harmless. They also gobble up dead red blood cells, because your red blood cells only have a lifespan of about 120 days. And after they've done their job and they're old and decrepit red blood cells, these Kupffer cells will gobble them up. And to tie it back to the very first thing we've talked about when we came to our liver and the digestion process, when the liver makes bile, the bilirubin that's all used up in the red blood cell, the liver will put that into the bile, and that's what makes your bile green. So the Kupffer cells are the first step of gobbling up these old decrepit red blood cells and bringing them into the hepatocytes, so the hepatocytes can take the parts that it needs and then gets rid of the waste that can't be recycled. And then your cells also only have a lifespan, and they die and they break apart and end up in pieces. And so these Kupffer cells will also gobble up those pieces and bring them inside and get rid of what can't be used, and then other parts are recycled. So if they are really efficient at what they're doing. If you just had to wait on all of that stuff floating around in your body to break down on its own, your body would probably be really sick. So these Kupffer cells are really efficient at what they do and can gobble up all of these things out of your bloodstream so that the other parts of your body aren't affected by them, or the toxins that may be released by them, because dying bacteria and dying cells and all of their yuck can be release toxins. So these Kupffer cells gobble them up, get rid of them, make them harmless, and your body just gets rid of them through the intestines. So that's what your liver does. It does a lot of things for you, and that's one of the reasons why it's one of the very important organs that people may need transplants for, because you can't do without it. There's not another part of your body that can take over. And you only have one of them, so it's not like if you lose one kidney, you've got the other one to do its job. You got to have your liver, and it's got to do its job appropriately. So taking care of it and not doing things to harm it, but appreciating what it does for you, because it's really important. And we can't live without it. Or we would probably live really miserable lives if it didn't do all of the wonderful things as fast as it does for us. So thanks for joining me. Have a good day, and I will see y'all on Monday. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes so you don't miss an episode. You can find the show notes at pharmacistanswershere.wordpress.com. If you want to join the conversation live, follow me on Periscope at Sin Hendrix, CYNHENDRIX. You can also share your questions and comments with me on Twitter at Sin Hendrix, or email the podcast at pharmacistanswershere@gmail.com.